Hey guys, Blue Wizard here with another Soulforge video, and let's get right into it. We have all new events, we have new stuff in the Soulforge, so as always, let's go check out the Soulforge first, and I'll start with the weapons. There is a few things going on with these weapons. One of these is an event weapon. It may be Devil's, it might be this one. We'll check that out once we get over to the current event going on, but um, this one has a 4% chance to kill an enemy boosted by demon enemies. It's not a very high chance. You're only going to have a 4 times 4 chance added to the 4%. So not really high percentage there. It doesn't do anything else except a little bit of spell damage. So, I mean, we're just going to get this thing in the event anyway, but I wouldn't really worry about getting it. I don't think it's a must-have. This one, it's alright. You convert 3 gems, one of the enemy's mana colors, to the lycanthropy gems. Yeah, I don't think it's too amazing. But down here we do have the Doomed Glaive, which I think is one of the best Doomed weapons because it'll entangle the first enemy every time you cast it if you have it upgraded. And if you do that, well, as most of us already know, entanglement allows it keeps the enemy troop from doing any kind of skull damage to you. Unless it's Doom Skulls, then there's a little bit of damage that comes through, but regular Skulls is 0. But yeah, that's pretty awesome right there, Doomed Glaive. So if you can afford the 900 diamonds, you don't, if you don't have enough for a Mythic yet, this might be worth it. Just because it's doing damage to all enemies, and then on top of that, it converts brown gems to Doom Skulls. So it's a really powerful weapon. I definitely think it's worth the 900 diamonds. That's pretty much it for weapons. Hope's Crescent is interesting, but I don't think it's one of these weapons where it's like it's a must-have. This one does eliminate all armor from an enemy. It deals 40 damage, and if the enemy's life is greater, deal triple damage. So you are looking at a significant amount of damage there if the enemy's life is greater than yours. And you'll have certain situations where, like in Delves or, primarily in Delves and maybe some other events, this weapon might be useful for that triple damage. But still at 40 damage, you're getting triple. It'd be 120 damage. And that's with my current magic. Some people might be higher magic, lower magic. But that's only on the condition that the enemy's life is 3 times or greater. Not 3 times, but as long as it's greater than yours. So even if that's by 1 life greater, it's still going to do the triple damage. Decent, but is it worth the 300 diamonds? I think it is if you're collecting them all. But, if you're very low on diamonds and you're new to the game, I would say pass on this one for now, just because you have so many better weapons like Trickster Shot and Rope Dart, things like that you can save up and get those for sure when they come around. As far as troops, let's go and check out what's here. We have, for legendaries, we have Shadow Dragon, Borrelis, and Tinsentail, and Baphomet. So, out of these guys, I would say that, I would say Tinsentail is number 1 out of this. It does a lot of stuff for you. One, if you fully trade it, it will fairy fire a random enemy when matching green gems. And now that's significant because a lot of these have this special thing, an ability with their traits when you have a 4 or 5 gem match. This one is just simply matching the gems. There's no 4 or more match going on here. So every time you match green gem, it's going to fairy fire a random enemy. And that fairy fire enemies will take 50% more spell damage. So that's pretty awesome. This troop, it gives all allies 4 magic with a 50% chance for each of the following. So it has a 50% chance to deal damage to all enemies, explode 8 random gems, or give all allies life. So it can actually do all 3 of those things. It has a 50% chance to do all 3 of them. That's pretty awesome. Sometimes it'll just give all allies 4 magic, and that kind of sucks, but at least it's doing something there. Plus, you have the passive ability of the Fairy Fire. So, but 50% chance on 3 different things. You're going to have probably 1 of those 3 things happen every time that you cast it. And sometimes you have 2 or 3 of those things happen. So, I do like Tinsentail, and I just don't use him as much as I should. but I do like him compared to some of these other legendary troops. Like Shadow Dragon's pretty good too in some regard, but it does deal true damage, but it's only to a single enemy, and it's a random enemy, so you can't even target which one. It will transform all yellow gems to purple to boost the damage there. So it's an okay legendary, but comes in at a 14 mana cost. It's okay because it has a little mana generation going on there, and it does generate mana for itself, which is also good. Then we have Borealis, which this guy will freeze all enemies. It deals damage to the weakest enemy. It's a pretty high damage there. Deals triple skull damage to frozen enemies. It reduces damage from skulls by 65%. But again, here it's only doing damage to one single enemy. But the freeze is really, really nice, especially against goblin enemies. They get all those extra turns because freeze does stop the enemy from getting an extra turn. So that's kind of nice too. But I really do think that Shadow Dragon might even be more awesome than Borealis. I mean, it depends on the situation. Because obviously Shadow Dragon isn't going to do that great against something like goblins, but Borealis will. So some of these are like situational. But overall, Tinted Tail is still better than those two, in my opinion. And Baphomet, it's relatively a newer legendary. I really haven't used it too much, but it does do this thing where it does damage to 3 random enemies, sort of like Tina 9000 does damage to random enemies, but it's Tina 9000 is doing true damage. This one is just doing regular damage. If the enemy is burning, deal double damage, and of course, in its traits, it will deal triple skull damage against burning enemies. It reflects 25% of skull damage too. So actually, I'm probably going to say Tinted Tail is number 1 for me, and Baphomet is number 2. Yeah, I'm going to go with Shadow Dragon and Borealis are tied because there's situational things going on with Borealis. So I would say number 1, Tinted Tail, Baphomet, number 2, and then these 2 legendaries here, Shadow Dragon and Borealis, are tied. Those are legendaries. So I wouldn't say that these legendaries are worth crafting. There's only like a handful of them that I'll say are definitely worth crafting. But just as far as you guys are concerned with like my opinion, what I think, how I would rank these, that is my current opinion on Tinted Tail and Baphomet there. Now, as far as the Mythics, this is a really bad week for Mythics. Just looking at it, it's abysmal. And Abyssnia is the first one here, and a horrible Mythic troop. It's 22 mana cost, and all it does is really explode gems for you and summon in the Infernal King, which is a legendary troop, but at the, all demons gain 2 attack and life at the start of each turn. But it's just, I don't know. You're going to use this thing as mostly a mana generator, and there's troops like Ragnagord that do way better job, at a lower mana cost here. It explodes all gems of a chosen color. Ragnagord does the same thing. It starts with half mana, and if you trait down to the second one on Ragnagord, it starts with half mana, and you can have like 7 starting mana cost, and you get that thing up, and you can select all the colors you want to explode. Just Ragnagord doesn't have a summon, but I don't think the summon is worth all this extra mana. And currently right now, demons, as far as I know, do not have a way to start with 50% mana, so you are stuck with getting that full 22% up there. I just never use that troop. I never really do. Yeah, it's kind of sad. Then we have Famine, which also isn't that great. Drains mana from all enemies, deals damage to an enemy boosted by mana drained. First enemy loses 3 skill points at the start of each turn. That's in its trait. 24 mana cost. It's pretty high-ish for a Mythic that it doesn't really do a whole lot for you. It's going to be doing damage to only 1 enemy. Really, the thing going for it is drain mana from all enemies. But you have, I think, better troops that drain mana, such as Emperor Corvash, which is a legendary troop. It doesn't drain from all enemies, but it does drain mana from the 2 top enemies, which really those are the ones that are going to receive the most mana. And on top of draining, Corvash also stuns, and does true damage at the same time. So, and it has much lower mana cost than this. So that's why Famine I never really use it. It's not that great. Then we have Skady, which Skady is not really that good either, except there's only one reason I ever use Skady, and that's to create an Ice Storm at the start of every turn. That is a blue mana a storm that's going on there. So that's really the only time I ever use Skady. But you can use other things, like there's a weapon called Jar of Eyes, which will start an ice storm every time you cast it. We also have the Underworld legendary troop called Lyraza, which will create a Madness Storm, which is purple and blue gems. So there are other troops that you can use or weapons to get an ice storm going. And so you don't really need this troop. It's just, other than that, it's not that great. So I would say pass on this for a long time, and try to get something like Lyraza down in the Underworld instead. But yeah, that's my opinion on there. And Zillopotchly, I think they botched this one, but it's a botchedly troop. It's a Zillo botchedly, because I wanted to like this troop so much. I remember this troop because it came out in May, close to my birthday, and I was like, "Yay, a new Mythic! I want to get this Mythic troop for like my birthday week or whatever." And so I tried to get it, and I was like, I tried to like it. I really tried to figure out a way to put it in a good team, and it's just not that great. It's a botchedly troop. It really is. It deals damage to an enemy boosted by purple gems. If there's a storm, deal double damage. If the enemy dies, create 12 skulls. So there's a bunch of ifs here. If there's a storm, if an enemy dies, there's a bunch of ifs. I don't like ifs. I like it to actually do something and be dependable, so I can build a strategy around what it's going to do, not if it's going to do something. So that's the first thing, I guess, that I have an issue with this troop. Second of all, its damage is boosted by purple gems, and then in its traits, you have it deals 12 damage to a random enemy when matching yellow gems. And then, so you're only going to get this bonus damage if you have a storm going. And here's the thing, it's a Strix ally. So the class that's for the Strix allies does generate a storm, but it's a light storm. So, it's kind of a weird thing set up here where, why is this color that it's matching in its trait different than the color that it needs to get a bonus for its spell damage? This is purple gems. Now, in my opinion, what would make this troop better, but it would still be kind of a weak troop, is if they'd change this purple gems to yellow gems, and then if they would give it yellow here instead of purple mana, then it would be a little better, because you'd have the Strix class, the Stormcaller class, that you would have your Light Storm with, and you'd be able to get your double spell damage over here, which isn't that high. It's not even going to be 80 damage for me, and it's single target. It's not all the enemies. Or they could have done something like deal 37 damage to 3 random enemies boosted by yellow gems. Something like that. And then if there's a storm, deal double damage. This is a Mythic troop. Why is it so weak? I don't understand why there's Mythic troops in the game that are that weak. There should be, in my opinion, no Mythic troop in the game that is weaker than the strongest legendary troop. But that's just my opinion. But then it would make sense with that light storm. That's, you're getting this passive damage over here, the 12 damage every time a yellow gem matches. Like, there's just, I don't feel like these types of troops are really planned out or thought very well. And I know they go through like some kind of beta testing phase, and it's like in this version of the game that's not, fully open to the public, I guess. But I don't know. Maybe I'm just complaining too much. But it was released in my birthday month, and I was very disappointed in it. What can I say? It's a botchedly. It's a Zillo botchedly troop. But so anyway, hopefully you guys enjoyed that little rant. I don't know why I went off on that, but so as far as how I would rank the Mythics, it's a pretty terrible week for Mythic troops. I'd probably have to say that out of all these, you might be looking at Skady is the most useful, even though it's just giving you an ice storm at the start of every turn. But don't underestimate that, okay? You getting, a storm, like a storm will benefit every single team as long as that mana color is being generated for the colors that are primarily in your team, your high damage dealers. So Storms are very, very powerful way to generate a lot of mana for your troops to get powered up quickly and to do a lot of damage. So don't underestimate storms and the power of that. So I'm gonna say Skady's #1 here for Mythics this week. And then I'm going to have to go with Famine, unfortunately, because draining all mana and still doing some spell damage is better than Zillow Botchly, in my opinion. And I don't know. I just don't really like the troop, I guess. Some people probably will will fight me over this, but anyway. So that's what I think of the troops basically this week. It's not really a great week for troops, but for weapons, we have the Doomed Glaive. Don't forget that. The Doomed Glaive is really nice. So all that being said, I don't know how much time I took up there. I went on like a 5-minute rant on Zillow Botchly. This week for events, we have Guild Wars, so don't forget to set up your Sentinels and your defense teams and get all that stuff ready. It's kind of nice this week. They didn't do 3 events on us like they have been. So in previous weeks, they've been doing Guild Wars plus 2 other events. This week, they're only doing 1 other event called Restoring the Balance. And so I bought a few things in the shop, but this is the weapon that I was talking about earlier. And it is actually a different one than I thought. I thought it was the one with the percentage of lethal kill, but this one is a little different. This one is the one that converts a couple of gems to the mana of the enemy's mana color to these lycanthropy gems, which, yeah. So I'm going to go ahead and buy it because I want to get up to the point of getting us a medal instead of just a badge. So then I'm going to go and equip it because we're going to try to build a team here. And it's the medal gives you 160% extra skull and spell damage for the current event here. So we're going to go and try to build a team with that in mind. So we can either go a combination of skull and spell, or we can do all skull, or we can do all spell. Some of that depends on the troops here that we're going to have available to choose from. So it looks like they're restricting our colors to red, and troop types are human and knight. So yeah, that I was gonna say here when I saw human and knight that we got 2 troops legendaries. You got Saint Ostra from the humans that gives 50% starting mana to all humans. Great support troop because it also gives life and armor to everyone and enchants all humans every time you cast it. But since it has to use red, we can't use it. It's kind of a bummer. We can only use troops that have red. So. That one's not going to be available. And then we also have, what's that other legendary troop that's a knight that makes all knights start with 50% mana? I don't think that one has red either. So we're going to have to try to figure out what's going on here. What kind of a team. I did see Tesla here. That might actually be really good because we are getting a boost to spell damage. And the higher we get, the more armor the enemy is going to have. And voila, we're getting, we might want to throw 2 Teslas in there. And we need some kind of mana generator. And, of course, Champion of Guard, if you have it, is going to generate blue and red gems for our Tesla. So I might just throw that in there. As far as weapon, it has to use the red color. And is it restricted to human and knight? I don't think so. I think for weapons, we can use any weapon that has those colors. So... but I want to see what kind of generator weapon I have here. Just curious. So, yeah, it is whatever thing, whatever weapon has red in it is really what's going to work for us. But I was kind of looking for a mana generator, so I don't know if there's one that's for knights or for humans that has that color. But we have at least a couple of these weapons. So this is explode all yellow gems. And then Divine Allies. So at least we can do some exploding. There is this that's based on humans. We can generate blue and yellow gems for humans. And these are all humans. Humans. So what we could do is we could roll with something like that. And those Teslas are just going to blast through like everything. So we could keep a double red blue there for Tesla's class. We could go, I probably want to level up the knight class a little bit, but for the sake of this, we could probably just go human because I'll generate more mana with that weapon if I do. Plague Lord, by the way, is a human class, and that is pretty awesome. You also get Essence of Evil, so definitely recommend using the Plague Lord class. You do have Rock Solid with it and Fortitude. You have a lot of good stuff going on with this troop. Starts with 50% mana, has magic, anti-magic sphere, all that good stuff. I think there is another human class too in here somewhere. Is it War Priest? Yeah, War Priest is human. And I might actually equip that one instead because it's not maxed out at 100 yet. But this one, the traits aren't like super amazing. But it does have I should say, well, not the traits, the talents. The talents aren't amazing. But the traits are pretty good with this class because it reduces damage from skulls by 40%. And there is a 50% chance to stun a random enemy at the start of my turn, which is actually pretty amazing. Stun is pretty awesome. So I think I'm just going to run with this and, the double Tesla there. Because I have potions of enchantment and explosion running right now. So I don't think I'm going to have too much trouble with mana generation initially. And since everything is so easy to kill here in the beginning, like the life on these things is so low, we're just going to kill it with one hit. But I'm pretty sure Tesla is going to be able to annihilate. Here we got a level 90. Let's go and see what Tesla does for a level 90 battle. And I think Tesla is going to be the MVP of this event, just because the higher you go, look at all the armor is pretty high on this. One hit, because it's got 160% bonus damage to its attack. So the higher the armor is on the enemy, the better for our damage. So I think Tesla is probably going to be your best. And if you have more than one Tesla, you can do double like I'm doing. And yeah, one hit. You're probably not even going to need a double like all the way through this event to the highest levels just because of that. So that would be my recommended team. Anything you throw Tesla in there with pretty much anything else, you get Tesla powered up quick and cast it. That's easy win for this current event. So that's going to be my recommended troop for it. You can really use any weapon, any other troops you want with Tesla, but throw 1 or 2 Tesla in your team and you're good to go. So yeah, that's pretty much all I have for you guys in this Soulforge video. Hopefully you enjoyed it, and enjoy Guild Wars this week, and I'll catch you guys on the next video. Appreciate you guys a lot. Later.